Hello again, guys. Gabriel here. I'm going to talk to you today about the BMW 320d Efficient Dynamics Edition. This is a continuation of BMW's efforts to bring out cars that are both easy to live with day by day, but also care for the environment. The 320 Efficient Dynamics Edition was first introduced in the previous generation, the E90 sedan model, but it's continuing its legacy with this F30 model. Now, compared to the standard 320d, you get less horsepower, or 163 horses, compared to 190 on the new model, but the same amount of torque. What's interesting though is that BMW made sure that it keeps the 400 Newton meters of torque intact in order to allow this car to be quite zippy off the line. Of course, having about 27 horsepower less, it is a bit slower to 100 kilometers an hour. The 320d can accelerate in 7.2 seconds, while this one will do it in 7.8 seconds, as I'm about to show you. This drop in horsepower is aimed at delivering a better result when comparing fuel efficiency. So if the 320d is rated at 4 liters per kilometer per 100 kilometers in fuel consumption, officially in the mixed testing program Europeans have, this one is rated at 3.8. It's not a big difference, but then, as we all know, these figures are just there. They're never going to be reached by a car. So in day-to-day traffic, you notice the differences. The car I'm driving has an average mixed fuel consumption of 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers, and I can tell you that the 320d is not close to that. It will do about 8, just as a reminder. Another thing that makes this car special is the fact that it is rated at 99 grams per kilometers in terms of CO2 emissions. Being under 100 grams of carbon dioxide emitted into the atmosphere per kilometer is quite a big achievement that most manufacturers are trying to reach because of the ever-tightening European laws regarding pollution. Furthermore, this car is lighter by 20 kilos compared to the standard 320d. It has a different range of RPM range when it comes to delivering maximum torque. If the 320d delivers it between 1750 RPM and 22,250, this one does it up to 2500 RPM. According to BMW, there's better airflow around the front bumper. There's an extra long final gear ratio that will help on highway cruising. And actually, I reckon that the entire gearbox has been reworked, because the first gears are extremely slow, so short. They change quite rapidly in order to reach a higher gear so that the fuel consumption is kept down. Furthermore, on the Efficient Dynamics model that I'm driving, when you start it up, it defaults to the Eco Pro settings. So that's something that's different from the standard 320d that kicks off in comfort. You have to then select Eco Pro if you want to save some fuel. The usual BMW Efficient Dynamics technology that you find on other cars as standard is also included on this one, like brake energy recuperation and auto start stop. An interesting thing I found about this car is that it has a special electronic power steering system. In order to save fuel, the electronic motors that help you when you're steering are not working at all times. They are only working when you actually need them. So let's say you're on a highway, you're doing a constant 75 miles an hour for a long stretch of road. The electronic engine won't work, won't intervene in the steering, because you're actually keeping your line straight. As soon as you need it, it kicks on and helps you negotiate curves and whatever you need to do. But when it is not needed, it shuts off in order to save fuel. The starting price for this car is 37,000. It's a bit more expensive than the normal 320d, but considering the changes that have been done to it, some may think that it's worth it. On the road, you don't really feel that big of a difference unless you're really pushing the cars to their absolute limits. That's where you'll not normally find the differences. But other than that, driving it daily, the 320d efficient dynamics really doesn't really stand out compared to its brother, except of course in terms of fuel consumption. This tester though nearly doubled its price. Actually no, it has 20,000 euros worth of optionals. It's a press car, so of course they wanted to fit as much technology in here for us to review. So from 37,000, this car has a price tag of 57,000. It has adaptive LED headlights, it has stop and go cruise control, it has connected drive, it has internet, lane assist systems, a lot of stuff. The leather is Dakota leather, the seats are M Sport, the exterior kit is the Sport package, and we have the great M Sport steering wheel, which I consider to be one of the best in the business. Its thickness is just right, it looks great, it has the M symbol on it, it's absolutely brilliant. As far as fuel consumption goes, this car has, as I told you, an average of 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. It's good. I have to drive it a couple more miles to get a good impression of how low the fuel consumption can go. I didn't get to drive it that much, but I'll do it, and I'll have some updated figures. Other than this, what can I say? Feels great, looks great. This is a Mediterranean blue color on the outside. With the Sport package, it really works and feels premium. The wheels have been changed as well from the standard ones, with a double spoke setup, and it's really good. might seem like a big difference for some people, but it's the torque that actually that you actually feel when accelerating hard, and that figure remained unchanged, fortunately. The way it differs from the standard 320d is that it is delivered between 1750 RPM and 2250, whereas the 320d goes all the way up to 2500 RPM. Other than that, it's basically the same. On the road, the car is quite agile and it will accelerate hard if you want it to. As a matter of fact, I didn't have any issue keeping up with anyone else in traffic, so you won't have an issue in this regard. Of course, fuel consumption will go out the door if you push it in sport mode, but that's a different topic. Now, the two cars cost the same. I have to admit that I was wrong in my assumption that the 320d efficient dynamics would be more expensive. Since they do cost the same, the fuel consumption this car brings to the table might make it a more appealing proposition to some people. Now, don't expect the differences in consumption to be huge. As a matter of fact, around town this car returns about 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers, whereas the standard 320d would do about 7. So of course this depends on the traffic, depends on the way you drive it, but to me that's the result I got, both on a standard 320d on this car as well. So the difference is less than 1 liter per 100 kilometers. Outside the city, the situation is basically the same. We saw an average fuel consumption of about 4.4 liters per 100 kilometers, which is good. It's for a car of this size, it's actually impressive. But then again, the standard 320d won't go over 5.5. So yet again, you have about 1 liter of fuel saved every 100 kilometers. So it's not a huge difference. The thing is, for people that cover a lot of ground over a year, this might be the one area that persuades them. In terms of dynamics, the cars are the same, with a little edge for the 320d, the normal 320d. But then again, it's not such a big difference if you're using your car just to get around for business meetings, or if it's a fleet car. It might make sense because it sips a little bit more fuel. That adds up over the course of the year, depending on how many miles you cover. Other than that, I enjoyed my time with the car. It's just like a normal 320d. It's pretty fast. It's really fun in sport mode, especially in rear wheel drive, guys. You can have this one with X-Drive though. So yeah, you can have fun with it. It's going to make sure you don't run out of money, and it's a really good car. As far as the price goes, our tester has a price tag of 57,000 euros, which is 20,000 euros more than the starting price. It's quite a lot, but then again, as I said, press cars usually come fitted with a lot of extra options to showcase them to the audience. So if you mind your budget, ticking all the right boxes might get you this car for less than 50,000, which, depending on where you stand, might or may not be a good deal. Pricing has become an issue with BMWs, but at the same time it has been for generations. This is a premium German car after all.